everyone, and welcome back to Arcly Overcast. So, clearly, Capcom has released a trailer for an upcoming Resident Evil 4 remake. And I know I'm super late to this, but I just saw this yesterday, and I have been busy, so I'm going to do my review on it now, and why we need a Resident Evil 4 remake before an Outbreak or a Code Veronica remake. Who knows? I mean, we'll probably never get those, but I guess, what do the fans know, right? It must make sense in the halls of Capcom Congress. But we'll go ahead and watch this, and then I'll get into breaking it down and what I think about it.
Condor 1 to Roost. I've located Baby Eagle.
Guess you, me, picked the wrong spot to vacation, eh?
You will receive our most sacred body. It begins now.
If I could just forget what happened that night. The pain. Even for a second. This time, it can be different. It has to.
Yeah, you think so, Leon? Okay, so that's it. We'll go back to the beginning here. So it's set to release so far, March 24th, 23. We got about a year, a little less than. And, I mean, to be completely honest, I'm actually excited about this. Which, if you know me very well or follow me at all, I don't cover Resident Evil 4 because I don't like Resident Evil 4. And it's not the game itself. I mean, it's an extremely fun game. When it first came out, I played it over and over and over again. I mean, it's just really fun. Um, it's pretty much a revolutionary game. It started the whole third person over the shoulder thing that tons of games are still using nowadays. And the enemy variety, the weapon variety was probably my favorite thing about it. And it's just really, really fun fun to play. Tons of replayability factor to it. My issue with Resident Evil 4 is the story. I mean, the first Resident Evil came out in 96 in the US. That's when I played it. I was 9 years old. Man, everything about that story is what captivated me, and it was just so enchanting, just down to my core. And that grew stronger with Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. And then things got a little silly with Resident Evil Code Veronica, but Code Veronica still ended with, Chris and Claire Redfield, and they're setting off to go try and, reunite with the other Raccoon City survivors that we know, and they're trying to put a stop to Umbrella. That's 1998. So our story as we know it kind of ends there, and then all of a sudden jump to 2004, and we have Resident Evil 4, which opens up with Special Agent Leon Kennedy kind of giving this lame explanation as to how after Raccoon City, pretty much everyone just stopped investing in Umbrella, and it just eventually fell apart. So now, instead of the story that we know and love, we are just plunged into this new story, just completely way off the Resident Evil rails, and it's more like a H.P. Lovecraft, Dagon inspired type story. This religious cult discovers this gnarly parasite that's capable of making different kinds of mutations and um, capable of communicating kind of telepathically to the point, where they start implementing the whole kind of like mind control type stuff here. And then, we got Agent Leon Kennedy, and then we got super spy Ada Wong now, and they're both doing these just outrageous kind of acrobatic moves and dodge maneuvers and stuff, and it's way too over the top for me, personally. So I didn't like the story of Resident Evil 4, and it just things didn't seem really consistent with the how things really were. Like to me, the first beginning of Resident Evil felt a lot more realistic and understandable. Kind of like Jurassic Park did. Scientists uncover something that they can actually use, and they start making things out of it. I mean, they just uh, kind of explain it in like a realistic way, like it could actually happen. There was nothing real over the top about the monsters and our heroes that we know and love from the original games. And then cut to this now, and it's just, I don't know, it got really weird for me. But it's a Resident Evil 4 is a really fun game. A lot of people love it, and we all know it's responsible for getting a lot of fans into the franchise. Um, but anyway, let me go ahead and start with the trailer and start breaking it down. So we have Leon here, our agent Leon Kennedy. He's working for the president. He says, "I've located Baby Eagle." We all know, if you played Resident Evil 4 or followed it at all, that the story here is the president's daughter gets kidnapped, and Leon is sent in to find her. He goes to Europe. And see, the environments here, Resident Evil 4's environments, I do like them. The original, and one of the things I read is that they're trying to make the environments here in the remake a lot darker. So, in the original, I did like, the gloomy daylight. It was a lot easier to see, but I mean, I like how it was still gloomy even though it was daytime. This looks really cool though. I like the fog in the trees. This is, I'm guessing this is the daughter. I'm guessing, I'm kind of obvious, but Ashley Graham is the president's daughter running away from something, which is cool if we get like some more backstory on her, like how she actually ended up here. Look like a deer. Kind of like, I get kind of Resident Evil 7 vibes from this. You got the candles and kind of outside in the environment here with this mutilated carcass. Leon walking through the trees there. See, let me see something here. This, if we get to play, if you actually get to play in an environment like this looks a lot more realistic. And that's exciting for me. If you were actually walking through like a forest of this sorts, be it daytime or night, I mean, it would still be kind of hard to see in a gloomy forest like this. So this, to me, this looks really good right here. Mm, looks like she's kind of hesitant to go where these crows are keeping a lookout. Maybe this open gate here doesn't know what's beyond it. I mean, one of the things I'm really hoping for this remake is making it more realistic. If they make it more realistic, man, I am down for this. I'm down just for a more realistic, like if they take what they did with the Resident Evil 2 remake and, kind of what they've been doing, except for, Village was not, I don't even want to talk about it. I still don't acknowledge Village, but um kind of like 7 and Resident Evil 2 remake, trying to make it a lot more dark and sinister, but giving it more of a realistic factor to it. Okay, I've seen a lot of houses like this. This looks pretty. The scene here looks pretty good to me. When Leon first walks up to that first hut or the house or whatever, and he meets the first enemy. Kind of what this looks like here. So one of the things I did notice, and I know this is kind of early footage, but there seems kind of like a little more lack of detail here in the jacket and in his hair, somewhat in the background. But I'm sure they'll go back and do what they got to do to make it look a lot more realistic.
Guess
We got the
you
village here.
me. Picked the wrong spot to vacation, eh?
It sounds like Luis, which I mean he was a pretty cool character too, but in the original he's wearing like a pretty cool like a vest, but this is a pretty leathery jacket looking here. And he's got the Mauser pistol, the Red 9. One of my favorite things about the original Resident Evil 4 was the weapon variety. That weapon variety was so cool. Like you just had, as the game progressed and you get all these different kinds of weapons and you can modify them and upgrade them, and just when you have hordes of enemies coming at you and you use that shotgun, it's like boom, and enemies just go flying after one blast, and it's just so freaking cool. I kind of hope that they keep that element in this one where you can just have a bunch of different weapons, like just whatever you prefer to take out your enemies. I mean, they had all kinds of different weapons that you could get. This dude. I mean, he looks pretty good. He looks kind of spaced out. Like, obviously, he's infected by the parasite, the Las Plagas, is what they call it. That's kind of taken over his brain, and his eyes are just kind of, you know, a good word, like a good term to kind of describe it as, I guess, is maybe possessed or zombified by the parasite. They're pretty much being controlled by the parasites. And then the main head parasite is making them do whatever he wants them to do. I mean, the detail on him looks good, but see, I'm not real big on the whole religious cult thing, man. I'm just, as its own separate thing, it would be cool. I mean, take Shinji Mikami. We all know that Shinji Mikami is like the main vein of the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, he started it, he had a lot to do with it. I know it wasn't just him by itself, but I mean, he's, for the most part, yeah, Shinji Mikami is the grandpappy of Resident Evil here. And when he suddenly cut us off of the storyline that we knew, and then he comes out with Resident Evil 4. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking there, but I mean, he left Capcom after Resident Evil 4 and then started his own thing and then came out with The Evil Within. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I mean, I love The Evil Within. Evil Within is a great game, and it's so much fun, and it's actually pretty freaky and scary. but it's very similar to Resident Evil 4. It's got a lot of similarities, just different characters and a different storyline. And I just get, I don't know if the Evil Within was like what he intended Resident Evil 4 to be, or if it was just like Resident Evil 4 gave him the inspiration for the Evil Within. I don't know, but it's something like the religious cult thing fits more into a different storyline completely than Resident Evil, in my opinion. And we got more of the religious guys. Okay, so clearly this is Ada. We know that Ada is in the original Resident Evil 4. And if you look at kind of the way her face shape is up here, it looks like she's going to have the same, I guess, kind of a, what would you call it, like the same design as she did in the Resident Evil 2 remake, which is really cool because I think if the more consistent they stay, the better this will be, the longer they keep going. So, you know, we'll see Leon again at the end here of this trailer, but even Leon's look looks very similar, if not the same, to the Resident Evil 2 remake, how he looked in there, which, you know, the way that they looked, Leon and Ada in the Resident Evil 2 remake, it was a good look for them. It was fitting. But I'm glad, you know, another one of the things that when it comes to like, I don't know where it went. When it comes to like being more realistic, sorry, I'm trying to get back to Ada here. Yeah, being more realistic. I mean, look at the way she's dressed. It's appropriate. If you look at the way Ashley is dressed at the beginning, it's appropriate. One of the things that I hate, I cannot stand about what they did to these games, is they just start, you know, smutting up these female characters and putting them in outfits that just don't make any sense. And I just hate that. And honestly, you know, that started with Jill in Resident Evil 3 with that stupid the skirt and the tube top or whatever, but I hate how they do that. I hate when they do that. I cannot stand it. So I'm glad if they keep this, I can't emphasize enough, stress enough, if they keep it realistic, that will just be awesome. And this sucker right here, man, I remember playing, so like, aquatic creatures freak me out. Okay, I don't like sharks. Don't like crocodiles. Don't like alligators. Don't like, you know, big snake. Anything that you would see eating people in a creature feature. Love watching it, but And this part of the game in the original was, you know, one of my favorites to play because, God, that giant mutated salamander was, you know, I freaked me out in the beginning, but you know, the more I played, the easier it was to kill or whatever. But it just freaks me out when you cannot see what's beneath the water, or what's in the water. This crap is just flying by, man. Okay, so hold on. This looks like Vitores Mendez, I think is what his name was. In the original, he's like one of the first bosses that you fight, and he kind of mutates into this weird, like a centipede-looking thing, but look at the hallway here, and he's standing here. I'm wondering if this is going to be kind of like a Jack Baker type thing, where he's just kind of following you around the house, like some kind of pursuer element to this. That would be something different. You know, the original Resident Evil 4 didn't really have that. We know that Leon gets infected at one point in the original, so probably what's going to happen here. Close up of Ashley's eyes.
You will receive our most sacred body. It begins now.
That's Sadler, which, I mean, he's the doofus behind all the mind control thing. He's pretty much the main bad guy in the original. Look, cult leader. Okay, Resident Evil 4.
If I could just forget what happened.
See what I mean? He looks just like he did in Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is awesome. And I hope they keep that and don't try to change him up, because Leon's look kind of stays the same, kind of similar, but also changes in everything he's in. But I think the Resident Evil 2 Remake look is a good look for him, and they should stick with it.
That night. The pain. Even for a second.
She's got a different look here than what she did in the original. I just hope she's not so freaking annoying. I can't stand her. She's like a horrible character. I can't stand Ashley in the original.
This time, it can be different.
And Leon thinks he can go and make a change here. Probably got something to prove, since he must feel like he failed miserably in Raccoon City. But like, he's 21. He's a 21-year-old rookie cop in Raccoon City, and then this is like 6 years later. So he'd be like 27 maybe. He's still young, but I don't know. We'll see. I like in the original Resident Evil 2, and well, I say the original, but in the remake of Resident Evil 2 also, I mean, his attitude and his mentality was fitting. It was appropriate for his age and the situation he was in. And I hope they stay consistent with that too here, now that he's just a little bit older.
It has to.
But in the original Resident Evil 4, you know, that's when we start seeing his like his sense of humor. Like his kind of dark sense of humor in the situation that he's in. He got more of a personality that he grew into. Cool, man. March 24th. Yeah, man, if I can think of anything else, I will, I'll let you know. I mean, tell me what you think about this. I'm actually very excited for it. I have not preferred what Leon's brown sheepskin leather bomber jacket appears with permission from Shot NYC. That must be a branded jacket, like an actual jacket. I have not preferred a Resident Evil remake over the original, but I'm actually thinking, if this turns out like I hope, I will actually really prefer this over the original. But let me know what you think, and hopefully we can keep up with the development of this. And honestly, if it starts looking stupid to me, then I'm just not going to cover it anymore. But so far, it looks really good. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.